Hey boys and girls, welcome back. Hopefully you had a great week and a great weekend. I know it's good to have time to just relax, take a little bit of time off, and rejuvenate your energy, right, for class. So we're going to be doing something a little bit different today, just because there is a little bit of a change in the schedule. But Mr. Joseph will still be presenting the material for 5th grade math. Just don't worry, you can still contact me if you have any questions. But today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be understanding how to find unknown measurements of angles. We're going to finish up that part of the chapter, chapter 4, and then we're going to be jumping to chapter 5, where we're going to be learning about the properties of triangles, okay, on page 104. Before we jump into the book, I just want to explain a couple of things. In class, it's very important that you follow these expectations. It follows the acronym Be Pal, or be a friend, right? Be Pal. The B stands for be ready to learn, so you already have your math workbook and your pencil ready. The P stands for participate actively. Make sure you raise your hand if you have something to say. Make sure you ask if you have any questions. Even though this is a video that's going to last most of the class, you can still ask questions, raise your hand. Limit distractions, so make sure you keep your microphone on mute whenever you have some background noise, and listen attentively. That's one of the most important ones, all right? Because most of your questions will be answered inside of this video, okay? So this is what we're going to be learning today. Before we get started, I just wanted to let you know that all of the previous videos that we've learned about are on YouTube, okay? So for example, this was from August 18th. We're learning about properties of angles and triangles. This is from August 21st. We're learning about classifying those triangles and those quadrilaterals. This is from August 28th. We were learning about classifying triangles, quadrilaterals, and those properties of parallelograms. This is from September 1st. We are looking at calculating angle measurements, which we're going to finish up today. September 1st, we continue calculating. And September 8th, we were learning about just a review content. We played that game, and we were able to do some kind of cool practice with the group. And then this last one has all of those games that I sent to you, just kind of a review of what we've been learning this year. So if you have any questions, please let me know. But we're going to jump right into the content for today, okay? If you have any questions also, you can go to this link, which has all of the videos that we've been doing over the past month. You just scroll down and you can see all those videos that are linked into this resource. So let's actually get started right away on page 96, because that's the content where we left, I'm sorry, 95, that's where we left off from last time, okay? So everybody's on page 95. We're going to just review that last problem and then do on the last page 96 in chapter 4. So what we're trying to find is, it says GH and JK are lines. Find the measurements of angle M, N, and T. All right, so let's jump in and do that first one. If I know, boys and girls, that this right here is 45 degrees, then I know that the opposite angle is also 45 degrees. So angle M is going to also equal 45 degrees. Those are internally opposite angles. And since I know that a line is 180 degrees, so this line right here, for example, that you see in the problem, I know that line GH is 180 degrees. So, since I already know angle HTK is 45 degrees, and this one right here is 90 degrees, because I can see that square right there, to find this angle right here, in other words, angle N, all I have to do is take 180, subtract 45, and subtract 90. So let's do that. I'm going to do this first one on the calculator just to kind of show you guys how to do those problems. okay? Find that one angle measurement. So since our line is 180 degrees, and we already know two of those angle measurements, we just subtract to find the other angle measurement. We take 180 minus 45 minus 90. That's going to give us 45 degrees, okay? So angle N is 45 degrees also. Okay, I'm going to write that 5 a little bit better. So we already know a couple of the angles. We know this one is 45. We know this one is 45. We know this one is 90. We know this one is 45 because it tells us. So what would this angle be right here? Angle T. Well, we can add up all of the angles and then subtract from 360 because that would be a complete circle. Or what we could do is we could subtract, since this is a line right here, I said GH was a line, we can subtract 45 from 180 to get that angle measurement that is missing, okay? So let me actually do that. 180 minus 45. Here we'll do this one on the screen. 0 minus 5 we can't do, so we're going to take away a 10, that becomes 7, and bring that 10 over to my 1 spot. We have 5. 7 minus 4 tens is 3 tens, and 1 minus 0 is 100. So angle T, boys and girls, is going to equal 135 degrees. So we've already found out the measure of angle M, the measure of angle T, and then the measure of angle N, we found that one out too, right? That was 45. Okay? So as long as you can understand that each one of these angles is going to either add up to our magic number 180 because of the line, right? Or 360 because it's a circle, that's going to be a whole lot easier for you. So check your answers to make sure that they're correct, and we'll go on to the next problem. All right, so let's go on to the next problem. On the next problem, boys and girls, what you're going to do is you're going to try to find out what angle measurement is. Let's go to page 96. Okay, so actually I was just going to explain this just a little bit better in a different way, actually. So if we look at that last problem, boys and girls, we understand that vertically opposite angles are always going to be the same. And since this angle right here is vertically opposite with this angle right here, they're both going to be 45 degrees. Okay, I'm just going to clarify on that problem. All right, and if we continue with the problem, so let's actually just continue. Let me click through the rest of these slides. Once we find out that this angle right here is 90 degrees, we can continue and just subtract from 180. Okay, I already explained that before, but this is just another way to explain it. If you subtract 180 minus 45, which you already know, you're going to come up with, and then you also subtract 90, you're going to come up with 45. That's the angle measurement of angle N. Okay, and then how do you find the measure of angle T? You could also add if you wanted to. Take 45 plus 90 to get your measure of angle T, because those are also internally opposite angles. Let me show you what I mean. Since I know that this angle is internally opposite with this angle right here, and I already know that this one is 45, and this one is 90, I could just add those two up to get this angle right here. So 45 plus 90 is also going to give me, just erase that so I can show you the answer, is also going to give me 135, okay? So you can either add or subtract within 180 to try to find these angle measurements. Now let's go on to the next problem. All right, So if we go into page 96, everybody turn to page 96. We're going to continue to find some angle measurements, okay? Make sure you keep in mind those internally opposite angles so you can find out the measurements of these other angles, okay? So let's do the next problem on page 96, okay? I know, boys and girls, that, just make this a little bit smaller, I know that this angle right here is 52. So the internally opposite angle, opposite of that, is also going to be 52. This angle right here is 58. So the opposite angle is also going to be 58 degrees, okay? So now what we have to do is find the measurement of HOE. HOE is right here. We don't know this angle measurement, okay? We also don't know this angle measurement. But what we do know are these two angle measurements, and we know that this is a line because it tells us in the directions. So what can we do? Well, there's a number of things that we can do. We can subtract from 180. We can take 180 minus 52 minus 58 to find our angle measurement. Okay, this one right here. Or what we could do is we could add up 52 plus 58, and then we can subtract from 180. Or what you could do is you could try to figure out what's the missing number right here, this missing angle, okay, by figuring out what's missing from the total, which is 180. Okay, so it's kind of up to you. There's lots of different strategies you can do. I prefer to find out what this plus this is first and then subtract from 180. Okay, so let me actually just show you that on the screen. So since I know that this is 52 and this is 58, and all of this plus this plus this is going to give me 180, I can take 52 plus 58, 8 plus 2 is 10, carry my 10, 5 plus 5 is 10, plus 1 is 110 degrees, okay? Since I know that these two together are going to be 110 degrees, I'm just going to subtract from 180, which I can also do in my brain, 0, 7, okay, 70. This is going to be 70 degrees. And if I wanted to check that, I could also check that in the calculator. It's all going to be 180. Let's just check it, just to make sure that we're correct. Okay, so 70 degrees, which we just found, plus 52 plus 58 is going to equal 180. Okay, so we already found our angle measurement. It's 70. This right here is 70 degrees. Okay, because HOE is opposite internally with DOI. This is also going to be 70 degrees. Okay, so HOE equals 70 degrees. Okay, check your answers to make sure that they're right. And we're going to go on to the next problem. Okay, let's go on to the next problem. Boys and girls, these next problems are going to be pretty similar, okay? But what I think it's important to understand is you need to go step by step, okay? If you don't go step by step, you're going to miss the previous step to understand how to find these angle measurements. Each one relates to the other one, okay? So let's take a look at the next problem on page 96, number 5. Here we have an angle measurement that tells us it's already 130. We also know that this angle and this angle are going to equal 90 degrees because you can see that square right there, okay? Now, since this and this equal 90, and we already know that CD is a line, it says COD is a line, okay? We know that this angle plus this angle plus this angle are going to give us 180. So let's try to figure that out, okay? If I take this angle plus this angle, it's going to give me 90 degrees. And since we're missing this angle, but this angle COE plus 90 degrees is going to give me 180, all I have to do is take 180 degrees minus 90 to give me 90 degrees, because 90 plus 90 equals 180 degrees, okay? So I already know that COE is 90 degrees. And even by looking at it, I can tell that that's a 90-degree angle. I could just put my square right in there, and we're done. Okay, so if this angle right here is 130, and this angle right here is complementary, in other words, it will add up to 180 degrees total, all I need to do is subtract 180 minus 130, or take 130 from 180, okay? So we're just going to do that. Let's take 180 minus 130, 0, 8 minus 3 is 5 tenths. Okay, so 50 is my answer. 50 degrees is the measurement of angle COA. Okay, let's just recap. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to recap. Just show you step by step how to do these problems. Okay, so if we look back, we know that COA is 180 minus 130. That's going to give us 50. DOB is also an internally opposite angle, so it's also going to be 50 degrees. So this angle and this angle are both going to be the same. This one and this one are both 50 degrees. Okay? Let's continue. Since we already know those two angles, boys and girls, we can find out the next one, which is 90 degrees minus 50 degrees is going to give us 40 degrees. Okay? So what we did right here is we took this 90-degree angle minus the 50, which we already just found out. Okay, this one's 50 and this one's 50. And that's going to give us 40 degrees. Okay, so this angle right here is 40 degrees. Okay, this one right here again was 90 degrees, and this one is already shown as 130. Okay, if we add up all these angles, this one, plus this one, plus this one, plus this one, plus this one, do you remember what the total is going to be? Well, remember, a circle has 360 degrees. Okay? So let's actually check that on the calculator to make sure that we got all the answers correct. Let's start with this one right here, 50, and then go around. Okay? Let's try that. 50 degrees plus 130 degrees plus 50 degrees again plus 40 degrees plus 90 degrees equals 360 degrees. Cool, we did it correct. Let's check our next problem. All right, so if we go on to our next problem, boys and girls, we need to find the measure of SOL. Okay, let me just show you that on the board right here. SOL is right here, so we don't know the measure of this angle. Okay, but what we do know is that SOU, this line right here, is 180 degrees, and KOL is also a line. KOL is right here, so this is also 180 degrees. And that line's, the measure of angle P and Q are the same. So this one and this one are the same. Make sure you read the directions really, really carefully on these problems. Okay? So that's what we do know. So let's try to find the measure of this angle right here. Let me walk you through step by step how to do this problem. So the first thing we're going to do, boys and girls, is understand that the measure of angle P plus the measure of angle Q is going to be equal to 180 minus 90. Why is that? Well, like I said, this is a line. This is 90 degrees because I see that square right there. And this angle, P plus Q plus this one is going to equal a whole straight line, 180 degrees. Okay? that's going to be 90 degrees. So let's check that right there. That's 90 degrees. Okay, perfect. Let's go on to the next part of the problem. Since we already know one of the angle measurements, we can continue. The measure of angle Q equals 90 degrees divided by 2. Okay? So, since we already know that this part right here is 90, this part plus this part are also going to equal 90 degrees. So we can just divide that by 2 to try to figure that out. 90 divided by 2 equals 45 degrees. Okay, if you didn't know that, you can use the calculator to check. 90 divided by 2 equals 45. Or you could take 45 plus 45 and understand that that equals 90. Okay, so far so good. Let's go on to the next part. Now, to try to find SOL, we're going to take 90 degrees plus 45 degrees. So we already found that this was 45, this was 90, this was 45. Okay, so in order to find SOL right here, we're going to need to take 90 plus 45, because those are equally opposite angles, internally opposite angles, okay? Let me just show you with a different color. See if you can try to see that. This right here is internally opposite with this right here. So if we take 90 plus 45, we're going to come up with this angle measurement. 90 plus 45 is, well, add the ones place, and then 9 plus 4 tens is 135. Okay, so we've figured out that answer. Let's check to see if it's correct. 135. Now again, if you wanted to, try to check your answers and add up 135 plus 45 plus 90 plus 45 plus this one was, what was that one again? UOL. I think that one was equally opposite of the other one. This one's 45 as well. Yep. Okay. Then you're going to come up with 360. Okay. Let's just check to make sure we got it correct. Let's start with 135 plus 45 plus 90 plus 45 plus 45 equals 360. Okay. The whole thing equals 360. All right. As long as you understand that formula, boys and girls, either subtracting from 180 or adding to get to the total, or if you're working with a circle, 360, subtracting from that or adding to get to the total, then these are pretty simple problems. Okay? If you have any more questions, boys and girls, please ask, because this is a concept you're going to have to know more about. Okay? We're going to go on to the second part of the unit. Okay? The lesson, which is chapter 5. All right? Again, what you need to remember, boys and girls, on chapter 5 is that we're looking at triangles and four-sided figures. Okay? Before we get to the unit, I'd like to bring your attention to some of the videos which you can use to practice this concept. These videos will be inside of the notes section of the YouTube video. Okay? So you can play this one. This is all about geometry and quadrilaterals, so identifying the quadrilateral. For example, which one is the rhombus? This one. Submit. Oh, didn't get that one correct. Oh, okay. Sorry, I picked a different quadrilateral. Not paying attention. This is a rhombus. Yeah. All right. I picked the trapezoid. Let's try another one. Which quadrilateral always has 4 equal sides?
Which quadrilateral always has 4 equal sides?
Well, if you don't know, you can click the hint. Parallelograms, trapezoids, rectangles, and squares. Okay. Technically all of them, I think. They all have 4 equal sides. Let's pick a square. Okay. Yeah, because these other three have either larger or smaller sides, right? It says, drag the quadrilaterals with the right angles in the box. Well, this square has a right angle, and this rectangle has right angle, but this rhombus doesn't, and neither does this one, right? So, submit. Do the happy dance. We got it. Okay, so that's one of the games that you can play to understand quadrilaterals a little bit more. And this one's all about triangles. I think it's a lot more fun, personally, because it talks about not only the angle measurement, but also the sides, which we'll get into a little bit more, okay? So let's actually play this just for a couple of seconds, okay? Let's do relaxed mode. Okay, so it says, find a right triangle. Here's one, an obtuse, obtuse triangle. Here's one, an acute triangle. That would be right here. Okay, a right triangle. Oh, there's one. Okay, so you get the point, boys and girls. You can also, if you wanted to, you can change this and try to look at practicing the sides, right? Practicing different types of triangles based on their sides. Here's another one you can play, which is classifying different triangles. Okay, since we're going right into that subject, it's a good idea to practice this. All right, so what do you need to do? You need to drag and drop, I think, these into the correct part. So this is obtuse. Oops, how do you do this? Drag and drop, drag and drop. Let me use my mouse. All right, here we go. We go really quickly, wow. Obtuse. This one is a acute. This is obtuse. This is acute. See if we can find a right triangle. Is this one right? Oh, nope. Try to find a right triangle. Is it this one? No, I can't really tell. It's kind of hard to tell if you can't see the square inside of it. This is an obtuse. Okay, it has a larger angle than 90 degrees. This one also has a larger angle than 90 degrees, and this one too. Okay, so you get the point of that exercise. These links will be inside of the video for today. Okay, so let's actually go back to the chapter. We're going to be learning all about triangles and four-sided figures. These are the objectives for the class period for today. I'm not going to read all of them. I'm just going to read the first one. Today we're going to recognize the characteristics of three-sided and four-sided shapes. Okay, so let's go to the first part of the lesson. Okay, all those links that I just showed you for those videos are here in the presentation. Okay, so one thing that's really important, boys and girls, is to understand that the sum of the interior angles of a triangle are going to add up to 180 degrees. Okay, just like our angles from before. Let's read this together. It says, the three interior angles in a triangle will always add up to 180 degrees. At each corner of the exterior and interior angles are on a straight line, so at each corner these two angles add up to 180 degrees. That's our magic number that we need to understand. Okay, let's do a couple of examples. Here's an example of an equilateral triangle. All the angles are going to equal 60 degrees. 60 plus 60 plus 60 equals 180. Here's another example. This is another equilateral triangle. It's also an acute triangle. Each one of those angles adds up to 60 degrees, and 60 times 3 is 180. Here's another one. This is an example of an obtuse triangle, right? If we add up the angle measurements of A, B, and C, we're going to come up with 180 degrees total. Here's another one. Try to figure this one out. What would the angle measurement of X be? Well, if we add up 70 plus 60, 60 plus 70 equals 130, and we subtract that from 180, we're going to come up with 50. So this X equals 50 degrees. Okay? Next problem. Each one of these triangles, boys and girls, is going to have a sum of 180. Doesn't matter if it's an equilateral triangle, a right triangle, an acute triangle, or an obtuse triangle. All of these angles, these three, are going to add up to 180 degrees. That's our magic number, like I said before. Okay. Later on, we'll get into what exterior angles and interior angles mean. That's for a couple of lessons down the road. Don't worry about that. And we'll get into not only internal but external angles in one single problem. But don't worry about that for now. Let's try to do this example. In order to find the angle measurement, you can either add up the numbers of the measurements of those angles to get 180, or you can subtract. So for example, if you were trying to find the measurement of angle X, you could subtract 180 minus 124 minus 23. Okay? What I like to do is add these two up first and then subtract from 180. So let's just add those two up. 23 plus 124 equals 147. Now what I would do is to find X, I would take 180 minus 147. 3 ones, 3 tens. Okay, so 33 is my answer for angle X, which makes sense because it's a small angle, much smaller than a right angle. If I wanted to check my work, I could check it. I could take 33 plus 124 plus 23 equals 180. Look at that. So boys and girls, just to recap, you can either add up the angle measurements, like in this example, or you can subtract to get to 180. Either way, you're going to find the answer as long as you do it correctly. Take your time. Let's go to the next problem. These problems are on page 104. So I'll give you just a couple seconds to go to page 124. We're going to do just a few of those problems together. All right, so on page 124, the directions say, these triangles are not drawn to scale. So you cannot use your protractor to measure them. Please do not use your protractor. So how do we find the angle measurement of ACB? ACB. Well, like I said before, you can either subtract from 180 or add up the angle measurements that you know and then find the total, which is 180. So I'm going to add up 76 plus 72 to get the two angle measurements that I already know. That's going to equal 7 plus 7 is 148. Okay, so this angle plus this angle are 148. So I'm going to subtract from 180 to find my measure of angle ACB. All right, so 0 minus 8 we can't do. So we go to our 10 spot, bring over my 10 ones. 10 minus 8 is 2. And 7 minus 4 is 3 tens, and 1 minus 1 is 0. So 32 is going to be my angle measurement, okay? 32 degrees. Make sure you make that degree mark really small. There you go. 32 degrees is your answer, okay? You can see I used both addition and subtraction to find my answer. And if I wanted to check it, I could take 32 plus 76 plus 72 to equal 180 total. Let's go to the next problem. The next problem says that we're supposed to find the measure of angle TRS. All right, so TRS is right here. TRS is right there, that one right there. And we know that this angle is special. This is a right angle, so that means it's already 90 degrees. So I know that the measure of angle TRS is going to be 180 minus 48 minus 90. Okay? Now, if I didn't want to subtract and I wanted to start by adding, I could add up 48 plus 90. I'm going to do that right now. 48, which is already my angle measurement that was given, plus 90. Here we have 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 138. Okay, So, but I'm not finished though, because I need to subtract 180 minus those two angle measurements that I just found. So 180 minus 138 is going to give me my answer for the measurement of angle TRS. Let's do that one in the calculator. 180 minus 138 equals 42. 42 degrees. Okay? Go ahead and pause the video and do letter C on your own. Okay, hopefully you paused the video. What we're going to do is look at this isosceles triangle. I know it's isosceles because these two angle measurements are exactly the same. So 28 plus 28, what is that? 28 plus 28 is 56. Okay, so these two angle measurements are 56 total. So I can take 180 minus 56 to find the measurement that's left, right? Let's change that. Minus 56 to find my angle measurement for LMK. All right, so 180 minus 56 equals 124. Okay, if I didn't know for sure, I could take 124 plus 56 to find out and make sure that that indeed does equal 180. 6 plus 4 is 10. 2 tens plus 1 10 is 3, plus 5 is 8 tens, and 100. So 180 is the total, and I found my angle measurements for these two problems. All right, good. Let's go on to the next part of the page. So page 104 also has a couple other problems. Letter D, I'd like you to do that one on your own. So pause the video, you're going to do letter D on page 104 on your own, and then we'll jump to page 105 in just a second. All right, so just like we did letter C, what you can do is you can add up the two angle measurements and then subtract from 180 to find the missing angle. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take 118 plus 42 and then subtract from 180. 8 plus 2 is 10. 4 plus 1 plus 1, 10 is 6 tens, 160. And 180 from 160, I can just do that in my brain, is going to give me 20. 20 degrees. So the measurement of angle FGH is 20 degrees. I can plug that right into my problem right here, 20 degrees. I'm going to check that just to make sure that that's correct. So the angle measurement that we just found was 20 plus 118 plus 42 equals 180 total. All right, cool, good. We are zooming, this is great. Let's go on to page 115. The directions are a little bit different. Let's read them together. It says, angle measurements of a triangle. These triangles are not drawn to scale, so do not use your protractor. Find the unknown angle measurements, then circle the right triangles. Well, you already know that this one's the right one, and that's because you can see that this square right here represents a right triangle. So if I already know that one of the angle measurements is 90 degrees, in other words, a right triangle, plus 15 degrees, plus some angle measurement, which we don't know, that's letter A, okay, the measurement of angle A, our total is going to be 180. So what can we do to find the answer? We can add 90 plus 15 and then subtract from 180. So 90 plus 15 I can do in my brain. 5 ones and 100 tens. So 105 is that total right there. Okay, be careful that you write one, let's see, 9, 10. Yep, be careful that you write a different number. Okay, 115, or you forget the 100 completely. What we're going to do is we're going to take 180 minus 105 to get our answer of angle A. 80 minus 5 is 75. And 100 minus 100 is 0. So 75 degrees is your answer for this angle A right here. Okay? If you add up 75 plus 15 plus that 90 degrees, it's going to give you 180. Just check your work. What I'd like you to do is do letter B on your own and check your answers at the end. All right, so hopefully you did letter B. What we're going to do, boys and girls, is we're going to check your answers. So let me just show you the answer. You could have taken 180 minus 85 minus 56, those two angle measurements that we were given, and that's going to give you your answer of 39 degrees. If you added 85 plus 56 and then subtracted from 180, you would get the same exact answer. Okay, any questions at this point? Please pause the video and ask your questions if you have any questions at this point. Okay? Let's just do a few more problems together and then we will stop for today. Okay, so let's go to page 106. All right, so on page 106, oh, actually we still have a couple more problems on page 105. Let's do that one instead. Okay. Here we have a 45-degree angle and a 45-degree angle. Again, this is called an isosceles triangle. Oops. Isosceles. It's not going to let me draw. Uh-oh. Okay. 45 plus 45 equals 90. Which means that this angle right here is also 90 degrees. And 90 plus 90 is going to give me 180. So the measurement of angle C equals 90 degrees. Okay, you'll notice that I added up these two to get this, and then I knew that this one plus this one equals our total 180. So there's for your first answer. Try to do letter D on your own. Pause the video and ask if you have any questions. Okay, so let's check this answer to see if you got it correct. I can add up these two angle measurements that were given and then subtract from 180 to get angle D. Let's try that. If we add up 35 plus 60 and then subtract from 180, we're going to get 85 degrees as our angle of letter D, the measurement of D. Okay, so in other words, this one right here, 85, not going to let me draw for some reason. Okay, here we go. Change the color to black. This one's 85. This one's 35, and this one's 60 are all going to equal 180 together. Okay, but your answer is 85. All you need to do is find that angle measurement right here. Okay, I think we're going to stop for today just because we've done a whole lot of problems. Okay, the next time, boys and girls, we're going to get to page 106 and continue on 107 and also look at those internally opposite angles and external angles. Okay, so be ready for that for the next class, and we will see you guys next time.